Hi folks, my name's Ben Rader. I live in Cocoa, Florida. I worked at the Kennedy Space Center for 32 years working on the shuttle program. Loved my job. Uh, I got to do everything. I got to tow the spacecraft. I got to work on the launch pad. I got to work on the mobile launcher. I got to work the landing operations. I got to travel to Europe and New Mexico, California for the shuttle landings. It was just a great job. I love my job so much that I left there in 2011. And since then, I'm a volunteer. I'm still badged with NASA as a docent. And so I go out to the Space Center and talk to folks about the space program. Sometimes I give VIP tours, and sometimes I just drive an elevator. We have folks that come from all over the world, and we take them to the facility where they're only allowed to walk in the front lobby and get on the elevator and go to the 5th floor, and there's a viewing center up there for them to view the launches from. We can't trust them that they won't push the 2 and get off on the 2nd floor, or the 3 and get off on the 3rd floor, or so on. So we have somebody stationed at the elevator, and sometimes that's my job, just to drive the elevator. But I get to meet a lot of interesting people. And sometimes I'm out at the Banana Creek launch site, viewing site. And so I get a chance out there to see some of the astronauts' families and things that have come for the launches. But since 2011, I've been working at the Brevard Museum of History and Natural Science. Kind of got hooked into that one. I had no intentions of working after I left the Space Center. I was 64 years old. So I intended to just retire and do nothing, pretty much what I wanted to do. Well, my wife was working 3 days a week at the Brevard Museum, so I went down and just to be hanging out with her. Well, she put me to work as a volunteer. I loved it. I enjoyed working with the projects around the museum that needed doing. One of the big things that I did right away was the limbs in the parking lot were so hanging down that school buses couldn't come. So I started cutting those trees back to where the buses could come and not drag the roof of that school bus. Because if they drag that roof, they're only going to make that one trip. There ain't going to be no buses after that. So I got into that, and I cut so many trees. We had a lot of trees that were around the museum that were right up against the building, and the raccoons were climbing up the trees, stepping off onto the roof, and then tearing the shingles off the roof. So all of those trees had to go. Took care of that. I had piles everywhere. Didn't know how I was going to get rid of all this stuff, but I had it cut. I got a hold of a company and had them bring in a dumpster, a big dumpster, a body, and I filled that up the first day, $200. Well, I had a lot more loads to go. So I got on the phone with Waste Management, and they wanted to charge us. And I said, well, you know, this property belongs to the city, and we're just taking care of the city's property. And they said, oh, hold on a minute. And so they came back to the phone and they go, you know what? We found somewhere we can put that. So yeah, we'll take care of that. From then on, they sent out these claw trucks to pick up the waste. It was beautiful. They did a great job. Of course, I had several piles in the parking lot, and they told me after the first trip, they said, I'm not going to set my stabilizers and pick up this pile and then take my stabilizers up and move over to another pile and put my stabilizers down and pick up that pile. I'm going to put my stabilizers down one time. If I get a load, I'm out of here. If I don't get a whole load, I'm out of here. One time is all I'm going to do. So if you put everything in one place, I'll take everything. So I got busy moving everything into one big pile, and they took it all. And from then on, you could see the museum from the road because the limbs had grown down so low you couldn't see the museum even. But after that, I started mowing the lawn, working on some of the exhibits inside. Sometimes I would even give a tour of people in the museum. And I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Well, then my wife decided that she was going to leave the museum. So I left too. I came to the house, and her sister, my wife's sister, had moved in next door, and she wanted to spend time with her. They're quilters, and so they spent time quilting. So that was great. Well, a few weeks goes by, and she says to me, you know, I really miss that little job that I had 3 days a week. Was just making me some money that I could spend on quilting and things. Would you mind getting a part-time job? Well, here I am. So I started looking a few places that I thought I'd like to work. And then I went to the museum, and I asked them if they'd be interested in hiring me. And they said, absolutely. They said, you know where everything's at. You have the keys to everything, so you've had the keys in the past, so here's your keys back, and see you tomorrow. Come in as an employee. So I went to work at the museum. And here I am, still there. Well, 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago now, the Florida Historical Society was operating the museum, and they were losing money. And so they turned it over. Gave everything that was in the museum they gifted it to the city of Cocoa. And the property had always belonged to the city, but we had a 99-year lease on that property. So we built these buildings on it. Well, now those buildings belong to the city. And now the city has to take care of those buildings because it's on their property. And now they have to make a decision. Do we just close this thing down? And they looked into that. And they realized that it was a big job to shut it down. It was a big expense to keep it. So what to do? They didn't want to close it, not right away. They didn't have anybody that would operate it right away. So they hired me to work for them, to keep the doors open and take care of things there at the museum. So they paid the lights. They took care of everything. And since they were their buildings, they had a contractor come out and replace all the rotten wood. They had another contractor come out and paint all the buildings. They had a contractor come out and replace an air conditioning system. They had another contractor come out and replace the alarm system in the building. And it was just fantastic. I mean, we've never had it so good. Everything's been going great. They're not charging an admission, which that doesn't make me mad. I like the idea of telling people that it's free. And families can come multiple times for the same price, nothing. So it's been a real joy working there. I've been keeping the doors open. So my job now is called a facility attendant, all right? So I make sure the facility is watched over. That's my job. Part-time, 78 years old, still working, and enjoying every minute of it. So I just did a little video down there this morning about the museum, about the Ice Age creatures that we have on exhibit there. and I'm going to be posting that. But first I wanted to post this little video just telling you a little bit about who I am and what I'm doing in life. I feel like I wake up every morning with some kind of excitement on me about it. So and my wife has been after me for ages to do videos. So here I am, I'm doing a video, and we'll see how this works out. So my name's Ben. I hope I get a couple of hits on this video. And if we do, we'll see you in the next one. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.